Shedeur Sanders shined in his preseason debut for the Cleveland Browns, throwing for 138 yards and a pair of touchdowns against the Carolina Panthers. Let's dive into the film of Sanders to see if he has what it takes to be QB1 in Cleveland in this weekend edition of Best Available. We're going to dive into 11 plays from the first half, but before we get into that, thank you for watching. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you enjoy content like this. We'll have plenty of preseason content, NFL draft stuff, everything like that in the coming weeks. We're just going to go in order of these 11 plays. Again, these are just from the first half. I thought it was a good mix of playing against, some starting caliber players for Carolina, some backups, but what I really appreciate is that he got better as the half went on. So very encouraged by that. And I don't think it was because he started playing backups or anything of that nature. I really just think he got settled in. So this is going to be sequential. There's going to be some bad reps. There's going to be some good reps. So we're going to start with one I don't think is necessarily bad, but it's going to help explain some stuff that we see later on that I'm a little worried about. And that's him patting the ball. It was one of the things that, became a huge, probably unnecessary at times discussion for Shedeur during the pre-draft process. But we're seeing it here again. And I don't even think this throw's his fault, but it's just a solo to one side, hit the slant, but he's patting it. It's a little late. I think that should be caught. I just wanted to briefly touch on this play just because of that patting of the ball, because there is a play later in this game where I get a little worried about it. I think his pat is much faster than, some quarterbacks I've seen patting the ball and being really slow with their delivery, but at the NFL level, every millisecond counts. Again, I don't think it's a bad play. I think that should be caught, but just wanted to point it out as we get into some later snaps. This is just a screen, and you're probably thinking, Tyler, you're picking 11 snaps and you're choosing a screen. And I want to point out, because I think people tend to take the screen game for granted, but there is some stuff that as a quarterback you can do to actually make a screen successful. And I think Shedeur does a pretty good job here. I just want to point it out as he gets the ball, as the screen's developing. Look at where his eyes are. They are looking at this linebacker and freezing him down. A jumpy or nervous quarterback is probably looking straight at his running back and getting ready for that dump off. But by keeping his eyes neutral, it's setting up for this screen to have more successful. Because if you watch that linebacker right here, just watch him react to this play. He's just bailing, right? Because he's like, oh, the quarterback's looking at me. He's clearly a pass. I need to get into my drop. By doing that, we get enough space, and it allows this blocker to clean up this play and gives, it's a nice 16, 11 yard gain. It's a first down. Again, you might want to discount a screen, but to me, I think he does really good eye discipline here and then gets the ball out with good timing, and it's why this screenplay is successful. So everyone wants to highlight the flashy plays, and believe me, we'll talk about some of those, but I think this is a pretty dang nice play from Shedeur. Something I'm a little worried about with Shedeur, because I think he's good enough at it, is maneuvering the pocket and escapability. But I get worried at times of him over-relying on it, and I don't blame him. I clearly think that's just from having to survive at Colorado. I think their offensive line drastically improved last year. I believe it's Jordan Seaton has a pretty bright future at that program or wherever he goes. But for Shedeur, the over-reliance on mobility can be an issue, especially if you're not a top-tier Jaden Daniels or Lamar Jackson. That being said, I love this play. I think this is a great scramble on a third down. You got to have it. He feels the interior pressure coming, but this is a nice design from the Panthers. Loop these rushers over so that this D lineman can scrape. A nice twist stunt. Just love these games being played. It's a nice job by Shedeur escaping that, recognizing its man coverage downfield and just taking off to get the first down. That's a hell of a nice play against a stunt like this. I like the way it's drawn up. It should be a clean sack for that defensive lineman. Shedeur recognized it and escapes. That's an example of when Shedeur's pocket presence is legitimately good, instead of just trying to dance to make something happen. I think being purposeful with his pocket presence, and there's another play in here that I think is I'm talking QB1, top half of the league type stuff. And I'm not trying to just be overly praising of Shedeur. I had my own issues with him. He wasn't, I think he was QB4 for me in the draft. But he might be proving me wrong, because there's some plays like this that will keep going. But I like the scramble. Purposeful pocket presence and awareness is when he can really shine. All right, this is an example of what I was just talking about, where the over-reliance on pocket presence can be, dangerous in a way. And I don't want to be too hypercritical here, because this is fourth down and a gotta-have-it situation. But in an instance like this where the play is just totally dead, you're in plus territory. It might just be worthwhile to just eat this play instead of dancing here, dancing around, just trying to do something. Because I get that it's fourth down, you want to make something happen. If you get sacked here, it's like 25 yards of field position. We do not want that. We can take the L if we don't convert this. And I get there's pressure and he feels like he needs to make a play. It's, that's a pretty bad rep by that guard. You would like to see the line be set up a little bit better for protection wise, but it's just one of those situations where, like, yeah, I get it. It's fourth down. Don't get that much depth. So much bad can happen here, even though he's able to get that ball out. Either you're sacked and lose 25 yards of field position, or you throw a pick, or you fumble. I was watching the Patriots game last night as this game was happening, and Drake tried to roll out and escape and just throw a ball away, and right here is when it fell out of his hands for a fumble. Just can't have that happen. So this is just another example of when the pocket presence maybe needs to be a little bit more refined and understand when to call it quits. I want to touch on this play because I'm sure there's going to be some aggregator account just bashing this play from Shedeur, like what a horrible, horrible throw. What my guess is this is just a miscommunication between, the tight end and Shedeur. Because what I'm seeing here is, out, go. We used to call this Florida, where I coached. But instead, I don't know if it's like based on the read you get that you need to sit here at times. But to me, this tight end should just keep going. He has all this space. He stops. I think Shedeur thinks he's going to keep going. So I'm sure there's going to be I can name a handful of aggregator accounts. I won't give them the attention, but you'll probably see this somewhere on Twitter of someone freaking out like, what a horrible, horrible throw from Shedeur, when in reality, this is just, to me, a clear miscommunication. Shedeur's first touchdown of the game, I absolutely love. Like, this is just a steed on a PA rollout, just fitting that into a tight window. And I want you to pay attention. I should have brought up the sideline angle as well, but if you notice this defender right here, he does a really good job of understanding where Shedeur wants to go with this and peels off. And, if we're trying to be nitpicky, I keep thinking of Travis Hunter was really good at this when he was playing underneath and, baiting a quarterback to throw deep. There are some athletes that could, get this, but I don't want to be nitpicky in a preseason game because I just think this is an absolute seed in between two defenders. Like, that is a rip of a throw. That is an NFL caliber throw rolling out to your left. I absolutely adore, the ball placement here. Not many quarterbacks that are right-handed can make that play to their left. I'll watch it again because I love this play. I want to give credit to that DB right here because I think he does a really good job of peeling off to try and make a play on this ball. Still, just what a toss for your first preseason touchdown. All right, this is a pretty mundane throw. I think it's pretty good arm talent to get this to the outside from the far hash. But just another example I want you to point out of like where I get a little nervous with him patting the ball. Because you can see him pat and then throw that. Man, when you're throwing that far away against a DB that's waiting on it, if they can read and react to your patting of the ball fast enough, that's 6. I want to credit the arm talent. I think, it's a tough throw to make in any circumstance. That slight little pat, I feel like if 31 is, biting on that faster, because he almost hesitates. I think he's maybe waiting for that block there. I think if he doesn't hesitate, that might be a pass breakup or, it's going the other way. But just something I wanted to point out. The pat makes me a little nervous at times. I'll give him credit. I think it's gotten a heck of a lot better from when I watched him as a prospect, especially his first year at Colorado. I thought the pats were really concerning. His windup's a lot faster. Everything's a lot smoother. So I'll give him credit on that. But, the patting's a little bit of a concern. All right, to me, this is one of those big boy NFL throws. This is a deep dig, throwing with timing. This is a tough one for a lot of quarterbacks that are younger to make. I like, the drop back. He has to reset a little bit to feel more comfortable here. He is gearing up to throw right now to this guy as he's getting in his break. That's what you want on a dig. You don't want him waiting for him to break this far and then throw because you can always have, an overhang player potentially break down on it. So the ability to wind up and get that throw with that timing while resetting your platform after your drop just to give yourself that extra second. That's some of the pocket presence stuff I like. I love with Shedeur when he's, understanding of where he needs to reset his platform within the pocket. Like that's some grown up stuff along with the timing to hit that dig. Like that's an awfully impressive rep. And I just not a lot of young quarterbacks have the patience to wait for that to, you know, hit it with anticipation. Very, very impressed. Don't love this throw from Shedeur. I think he's staring down his receiver, and I think he's throwing this one a tad late. And I just think I can see what he's thinking here on this dig to throw it behind the linebacker. I think he's a tick late. It allows the defender to recover. But man, he's watching that the whole way. He's throwing it way too late. I mean, in theory, you want to hit this as he's getting right. You want to throw into this space as, because he's getting past this linebacker. You want to throw to where he's going to be. Shedeur's not winding up to throw that until he's well past the linebacker. And hey, maybe that's a little nitpicky, but it's just a dangerous throw in my eyes. So one more time we'll watch it. Just watch Shedeur. Watch him staring down that target. Waiting for it. Yeah, the DB can jump that when he knows it's coming. Just a few more plays here. And this is one where it's another of those, I would argue, doing too much, scrambling around in the pocket. But I actually appreciate this play. It's 3rd and 13, and with all of the time that Shedeur is giving himself, you might think that he wants to give himself a little treat at the end and, try and force a throw on 3rd and long. But what I appreciate is the maturity here to not force anything at the end of this because, he's doing a great job of making all these guys trying to sack him miss. I mean, number 11 is Nick Scorton, who's a pretty highly ranked rookie in his own right. But instead of just trying to force anything, he just, he accepts, there's nothing there and either throws it away, runs out of bounds. Either way, instead of trying to force something when it's not there and, having a potentially horrific play, you play the field position game here. I just think that's remarkably mature. I hope he has that same mindset in regular season games because I think something that showed up, maybe even some of the plays we didn't talk about, was that patience and maturity to not force things. I actually thought he was overall very comfortable in playing within the scheme of everything and not trying to do too much at any time, which for him, I'm very, very impressed with the poise. And again, it is a preseason game, but this is what we're talking about. This is the tape we finally have of him in Cleveland, and I got to give him credit for this. This is both a nice throw and a hell of a catch from, I don't know who the Cleveland guy is. I know he got injured on the play, but the effort to finish this, pretty impressive while rolling out. Layering it between the second level defenders and the safety over the top on the move while scrambling with that touch is pretty dang impressive. Came away really impressed with this one. I had to show it. I love the one-handed grab. I think he makes the right decision here. Maybe he's drifting too much in the pocket, which makes these pass a little harder. Let's take a look at that. I mean, no, I can't blame him too much. I think he does a good job of leaking out here. I think he's trying to stay in the pocket as much as he can, then rolls out, and then again, just the touch on this pass. That's a pretty sick throw. You don't want to rely too much on rolling out. This isn't Madden, but in situations when you have to and you see a guy, that's a pretty gorgeous ball. Let's end on the touchdown, his second touchdown. I got to tell you, man, this is pro stuff. This is, if you wanted to earn the starting job in Cleveland to me, this is stuff that is going to show why, he has a real shot at that. And I'm not just saying, I thought, overall this film is pretty impressive. The ability to reset, recognize this blitz, I actually think this is a phenomenal job by the running back picking up this blitz as well. But he recognizes that. What I like is instead of scrambling, reset. Look at all this space you have. You do not need to roll out or try and make something with your legs. The maturity here I still have a clean throwing platform, hit the dig. Man, I think this is his best play of the game. To not panic against the pressure and just reset your platform to deliver that strike. This is NFL stuff, man. Shedeur can be your not favorite player. You can absolutely love him. But even for the harshest critics, and I'll admit, even in the college stuff, like I was pretty critical of a lot of his things. You have to admit sometimes when you're wrong, and it's just one game, but I do love plays like this. I think this is just an absolute hell of an effort from Shedeur. That's all we got today. I just wanted to give a quick one. It's Saturday morning, but was so fired up after watching that game and having the film come out this morning. I haven't even had coffee yet, so we'll get this edited and uploaded as fast as possible so you can enjoy it. If you did enjoy the content, please subscribe. Follow us on socials at BestAvailableYT. Thank you so much for watching. Might be a little bit of a delay. Maybe have a Tuesday episode next week, since we're doing the Shedeur episode right now. But thank you so much for watching. Again, please subscribe, and we'll see you next week.